the Romans developed a piece of wooden military hardware that looks as dramatic as it really is. It changed the course of an entire war in only a few hours. "2,000 years ago, the dominant superpower in the ancient world was the great empire of Rome, policed by the legions, the first full-time professional army in history. The Roman Empire spanned across 2.5 million square miles of land. But in the 3rd century BC, a rival superpower grew up in the desert of North Africa. Its name was Carthage.
Carthage, initially an outpost of Phoenicia in Palestine, becomes the trading superpower of the Mediterranean. And the struggle between Rome and Carthage is a struggle for power and control over trade and land and critical supplies, most important of which are things like grain.
On one hand stood Rome's colossal army of over 350,000 well-drilled and well-armed soldiers. On the other, Carthage's domination of the sea.
They fight first over Sicily, which is an enormous granary, either for Rome or for Carthage, and it's life and death. No grain, no bread, no success.
At the heart of Carthaginian naval power was its magnificent circular harbor. Built to house over 200 super destroyers, the harbor was Carthage's military headquarters. While a modern U.S. aircraft carrier takes 5 years to build, Carthaginian engineers constructed warships in the blink of an eye. Ancient accounts tell of such ships being built in 40 days from the moment the tree was first felled. Between Carthage and Rome lay the Mediterranean Sea, a battlefield of almost 1 million square miles. The Mediterranean became the focal point for a fearsome power struggle.
Key ancient navies could outperform others, not by numbers, but by skill. The Athenians, the Rhodians, the Carthaginians had major advantages in seafaring skills.
But 2,500 years ago, the Roman navy was almost non-existent, save for a few river patrol boats, the remains of which now lie in Mainz Museum, Germany.
The Mainz Type A boats were elegantly designed. They are very narrow and long. There's definitely no evidence that these ships had been used for fighting because they are too small, too narrow, but they were evidently used to control the river.
But Rome's riverboats would be no match for the might of Carthage's navy. How could the Roman generals bring their military superiority onto the open ocean?
They copied Carthaginian vessels, they mass-produced them, and they developed new tactics to negate Carthaginian skill and replace it with Roman power. They turned sea battle into land battle.
The Roman military engineers started building boats with a super destroyer known as the Quinquereme at the head of the fleet. 100 feet long, it was the fast-attack heavy troop carrier of the ancient world.
The Quinquereme was a huge naval vessel. There are probably 700 people rowing it. These are incredibly expensive, incredibly complex bits of machinery.
But the troops carried by the Quinqueremes were not Marines or Navy SEALs. They were legionnaires, infantrymen used to fighting on land. The Romans needed to develop a way of getting their legions onto the decks of the Punic warships as quickly as possible. Roman naval engineers proposed an ingenious solution, a 40-foot-long 2-ton bridge called a corvus.
It's basically a boarding ramp with a large spike on the front. You drop the ramp, the spike sticks in the enemy ship, and your Roman legion rushes across and chops up the Carthaginians, who are not expecting to fight this kind of battle. They're expecting to fight a ship-on-ship battle, not a man-to-man combat.